Good morning. We're now on page 563, section 4, Children's Education. Number one, what is the parents should give to their children while educating them? Education should not about knowledge, but rather about love. Both father and mother should teach how to become one by loving one another. They should become a father and mother with whom God is pleased, and the mother and father should be pleased with one another. At the same time, they should strive to be parents whom their children like when the children still want to make their parents proud of them. This is how parents should educate their children. We're now on page 564. Number two, whether it's centered on God or Adam and Eve, the key is the four-position foundation. No matter how you look at it, it is the same four-position foundation. For this reason, we should receive education about love from God based on His love. What is the origin of this education? It does not begin from human beings. Since God is their parent, Adam and Eve should be educated about love by God. How is the standard of Adam and Eve value determined? It is in accordance with the education they receive from God about love. For how long did Adam and Eve require this education? It was necessary until they figured out God's standard of value for the completion of love. In other words, they should have reached full maturity based on the love they receive from their parent. We have a subtopic here: love, original sexuality, and education for the blessing. Number three, becoming a parent puts you in a position to represent God. Thus, as a teacher, you should have to teach your children the principles of love, the love of family, and the ideal of the nation, and raise them to become owners of the family nation with proper qualifications. To this day, our children are being educated in schools, but do not provide the most essential education. They provide technical education. The home should be the place of character education. This is where parents bequeath the original lineage. Parents have a solemn duty to establish a tradition connected to lineage with a perspective of thousands of years, and to pass it on to their children. But this is not predestined. Rather, it is a destiny we are responsible to accomplish. We cannot change our mother and father. We cannot exchange our brothers and sisters. Knowing this, we need to establish the family tradition in the presence of God and bear fruit as true parents and true teachers. By this means, we are recreating a lineage based on love. After doing so, we need to leave behind as the position of true owners of a true lineage that can last forever. Number four, blessed families must think concretely, not just conceptually, about God's sovereignty, God's people, and God's territory. It is now time for us to take action, taking responsibility for this mission. Every step we take should be toward this purpose. Even when educating children, parents have to think about how to raise them to become people who can fulfill the will and mission. A mother should think this way even when she nurses her baby. If we live like this, although we are only individuals, we represent the life, hope, and value of the whole, with a value that can stand before heaven and earth. Number 5, needless to say, you have to educate your children well, but in addition, you should guide them to receive the blessing at an early age. When 3 generations have received the blessing, they can be bound together. Before you die, you need to have 3 generations blessed. This is how you can fulfill your responsibility. Just as the Israelites were connected through 3 families, Adam, Noah, and Abraham, the standard for you to be connected is 3 generations. What should you do to achieve that? You should create your own tribe based on your sons and daughters and relatives who are to fulfill the same conditions. On that foundation, you can be free and accommodating with your tribe, and they can be the same toward you. Number 6, toward your wife, you should think in terms of receiving God's 3 kinds of love. She is the best. She is the best daughter in the world. She is the best wife in the world, and she will be the best mother who has ever existed. You have to educate your children so that they can say proudly, "My father and mother are the best in the world." No one except God is better than they are. Education within Unification Church families should achieve this standard, and it should be publicly recognized. God should be able to say, "That's right." And your descendants should say, "Yes, my children say to me, after God, my father is the best." You too have to teach your children to think this way. Parents should teach children to love their brothers and sisters and to love their mother and father. At the same time, they need to teach them, "As much as I love you, I love my country. Please love your country as much as I do." If we teach them in this way, they will understand. You do not need to educate them in other things. In the end, they will understand. In my family, my father and I live like this. And all other families in the nation should also live like this. Establishing a nationwide and worldwide foundation together with my family means becoming a patriot in my country. Number 8, you have to teach your children to love the world more than they love their own country. I'm teaching not just the way of a patriot for the nation, but the way of a saint for the world. Since this way of saint involves the laws for governing a nation, I'm also teaching you to fulfill the dutiful way and become a prince or princess in the kingdom of heaven. Number 9, you have to be true mothers and fathers who, even when racing ahead, can say to your children, "If I die now, you must take this baton and keep running." We're now on page 566. "I'm going this way of suffering to save the world. I must do this in order to enable a new world to emerge. That is the hope of God, the hope of true parents, and the hope of your father and mother. And that must be your hope too. I believe this unchanging hope will allow everyone to find happiness. That is why I am going this way. At the moment of your death, you should be able to say this to your children and ask them to commit to carrying on your work. Number 10, as parents, we need to have the education or educational resources by which to teach our children. We should be able to testify, my beloved sons and daughters, you should not be indebted to your parents, brothers and sisters, or neighbors. I tried my best all my life, applying myself intensely to avoid debt, until my fingers became bent and their skin as coarse as horse hide. My hands became like this through serving our neighbors and living for the sake of others. Number 11, a true teacher is not one who teaches academics, but one who teaches love. Of course, parents are one with their children based on love and the blood relationships, but they should also be teachers of love. That is why we parents should teach our children, saying, you should behave this way as parents and sisters, as brothers and sisters. You should behave that way as husband and wife, and this and that way with your relatives. Thereby, we can educate them with love so that through harmony and unity among family members, they can bring prosperity to the family and finally become owners of love. This is the duty of parents. So that ends our Hunduke reading. Have a great and wonderful Friday. Manse manse. Bye-bye.